I was born here, so I have fond memories of growing up in this neighborhood, and I knew what it could be. And I knew that for me, it was a great foundation.
We're working together, and it's a wonderful partnership.
Through a joint effort, a variety of people, a great deal can be accomplished.
We've gotten a lot, new businesses have moved in. A lot of businesses are doing, private businesses are spending money in the neighborhood again.
It's alive, it has color, it has everything you'd ever want in a neighborhood, a grocery store, schools, a public library, a bank that you can walk to. Being a catalyst for that change, changing perceptions, changing the reality of where people live.
Well, Mountain View represented an area of the city that had fallen under some disrepair.
We also all believe that Mountain View still to some extent suffers from a stigma. And the stigma is based on what happened here in the 80s with crime and fire and police calls and blighted properties.
I recall the days when we were looking at a string of empty lots, closed buildings and fences along Mountain View Drive.
But I saw Mountain View as having a population that didn't know what else to do. They had no hope. They didn't know what the next step was, and I firmly believe that housing is the right first step.
Well, the mission is to provide affordable, housing or safe, quality, affordable housing to Alaskans. And so the idea of getting home ownership involved and people getting neighborhoods fixed up, buildings improved upon, create a sense of pride and better living conditions for people, I think is critical, and it's right within our mission, and I think we're seeing a great deal of success out here in this part of the city.
My name is Don Crandall. I'm a resident here in Mountain View and lived here about 6 years. I'm also president of the Mountain View Community Council. I liked the location. It was near downtown, but yet I could afford to live here. And I liked the idea of it being a neighborhood where I could walk to places, restaurants and stores. The Cook Inlet Housing homes are affordable and also really good quality. We've become even more diverse. We've gotten a lot of new immigrants into the neighborhood, a lot of new refugees into the neighborhood, Sudanese, Somalis, as well as Hmongs. And I think that's reflected in the neighborhood.
When you're in a neighborhood that has 3 schools, you're going to change the lives of the children that live here. So for me, it was a great opportunity to really develop that menu where we could support people to really rise to their true potential, and they would do that in a safe way. So just strategically taking little pieces at a time, one home at a time, one building at a time, one family at a time. We knew that over time, that would make a big difference in this neighborhood and really to the community as a whole. People need jobs. They need some economic driver to be in this neighborhood. They need businesses on Main Street.
Well, the evolution of bringing private sector investment and more business opportunity means jobs, it means training, it means you have a viable community. Our first and I think maybe our best success story ever is the Credit Union 1 site. Leslie Ellis came by one day and said, if you can make that site work for us, we want to bring a financial institution.
Well, you know, I've been somehow involved with Mountain View since 2007 when I decided that we were going to put a Credit Union 1 location over here, and I started looking at the sites. And since 2007, I've seen a lot of rehabilitation. I think in part it was initially driven by Cook Inlet Housing's large commitment to Mountain View in terms of affordable housing and getting rid of blighted properties, which is also a mission of the Anchorage Community Land Trust. This, for our staff at Credit Union 1, including me, has been one of the most rewarding experiences we've ever been involved in.
You know, the bank was the first step. The second step was the Red Apple grocery store that's owned by another private developer, and they just this year invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in repairing that building, and not just repairing it, but making it look nice.
You know, Cook Inlet has been really a good neighbor. They've always come to our community council and given us updates on what's going on with their projects, and they've also sought input. We didn't want strip malls. We wanted little shops on the first floor, parking in the back so people in the neighborhood could walk to these businesses, then have residences on the upper floors. And that is something that they followed up on. And I think we're hoping that'll make a big difference.
And I think they are certainly to be commended in moving forward with a mixed-use concept. You know, single-family houses, duplex, but a mixed-use concept that they're moving toward now will also help us provide space for smaller businesses in their commercial areas.
We've been partnered up with Cook Inlet, I think, since around 2001. If you look at the entire Mountain View development, about $39 million, I think, in total development costs, 147 units, 80 buildings. HOC's involvement is $38 million in grants and low-income housing tax credits. So we're very pleased, and we're pleased with Cook Inlet. They've been a great partner, and I think the two of us working together, along with others, have had a distinct impact on this area.
When the city comes in and starts to invest on Main Street, and they invest in a new public library, and they haven't had a public library for 15 years, those are investments that really matter to the people that live here.
That's the sign of a healthy community. And we haven't had that. You know, we've always had some businesses here, but we haven't had that in a long time. We've got lots of pawn shops, and it wasn't anything particular to this one. The site was vacant when we found it, and we were able to successfully and quickly work with the former owner, and now we have site control.
My name is Alvin Amison, and I'm a painter, and I'm here in Mountain View, and I've had studios in many places like East Oakland and Rhode Island and California, and I think artists tend to go to places that, first of all, is affordable. Second, it's got a lot of energy.
Well, people ask us, how do you know when you're successful? When do you know you're done? And so for us, it's about talking to other people, like the principal at Clark Middle School, who tells us that since we've been here, the participation by parents in parent-teacher conferences is up from 50% to 80 to 90%. In addition, the test scores have improved 10 to 20% in reading, writing, and math. Those are real indications that we're starting to have success. It's not just about change, it's really about success.
Credit unions have a unique social purpose, and that is to help people that need help, and to look at people differently than your typical financial institution, and to serve people of modest means. What I've noticed is more and more people within the Mountain View community are starting to rehabilitate their own properties. We're seeing more painting, fences going up, yards being cleaned up, junk cars being towed away. What I'm seeing is a lot of community pride just in the 3.5 years that I have been involved with Mountain View.
Because pretty buildings and pretty pictures are great, but the people that live here really have to have that stake in investment to make it whole.
Through the hard work of the neighborhood leaders and community partners like Cook Inlet Housing, and the neighborhood is coming back into its own as one of Anchorage's great neighborhoods.
That is the cool thing about Mountain View, is that different entities in the community of Anchorage and the specific community of Mountain View have a piece at stake in here in making Mountain View better than it was. And I think that we all have one thing in common. We believe that Mountain View is a good place to live and work.
People will come to the neighborhood now because they're curious. And people here, have you been to Mountain View lately? It's really different. It's changing. And Mountain View is that neighborhood where we all want to live.